Welcome in, y'all. Week 10 NFL locks and best picks here. Here's my stats on the year: 77-58 against the spread, 14-7 best picks. Doing really good on both, and that's even with a very rough week last week. I had a rough week last week. I'm just going to say it, but we're going to bounce back. We've been doing good all year. We're hoping to get back on track. I got a few for you today. We're going to start with the Giants and the Bears Sunday game. Bears are favored by 4.5 points at home against the Giants. Potential for some weather there. I've seen potentially some snow, but I think it's supposed to be above freezing, so it might not stick. We'll have to see there, but definitely some elements going to be chilly for sure. And this is just one of those that Chicago has the much better record, obviously, in this matchup. But are we going to look here and say that you trust the Bears to cover 4.5 here? I mean, this is a Giants team that with Jackson Dart, mind you, Scadaboo's gone, right? He was a big boost to the team. But this is a Giants team that since Dart has taken over, they've beaten the Eagles, they've beaten the Chargers. They really should have beat the Broncos. You know, that's a whole nother story. But they have gone toe-to-toe with some great opponents. Not saying New York is an amazing team, but I think they can absolutely hang. So with that being said, I think the Giants cover 4.5 here. I just think the Bears haven't earned enough credit, in my opinion, yet to just give 4.5 against a team that has played pretty well since Dart has taken over. I'd like to see the Bears get it going. I'd love to see some success for the city of Chicago there. You know, I know it's been a long time coming for the Bears, and Caleb Williams is really what needs to step it up. He's been so lackluster. Obviously, the Bengals, they had a big day against the Bengals last week, but that's against the Bengals, and literally everyone is doing that. So I'd like to see them do it here, but until they prove that they can be, fully trusted, I'm going to go with the Giants to cover here. But that's one of the shakier ones, to be honest. I feel this one here, Rams at 49ers. Rams lost this game earlier this season. The Niners went into SoFi Stadium, got a win there. Purdy may or may not be back for this one. He's been questionable like every week for the past month and a half, it feels like. So I'm just going to lean towards him not playing. But regardless, when we think back to that game, we think back to the fact that the Rams had 2 fumbles inside the red zone, so they missed out on a couple touchdowns there. They had a missed extra point, and they had a 4th and 1, horrible play call stuffed right in the middle, but also inside the 10-yard line. That's a lot of points they missed out on that, great on the Niners, right? But most games they're not gonna. And they still took this thing to overtime and probably should have won. I think, you take away a lot of those chaos plays here. I think the Rams play a cleaner game. They're going to have some focus on that. They still got to figure out their kicking game. They're still having issues there. But I think the Rams are locked to win this game. I really, really like them to cover, but I don't know if I'll go as far as to make it one of my full locks, but I do feel good about that too. But I really love them to win. I mean, they're the much better team right now. Really, the only thing that holds me back from going all in with the spread as well is the McVay versus Shanahan. Every now and then Shanahan just really gets McVay all tied in knots. But I'd be a little surprised to see the Rams not win this game. So that is second my locks there. And really, the line is ticked up. This was 2.5 or 3 points right when it opened up, and it's gone. I've seen 4.5, so it keeps climbing. But that's that one there. Then we're going to move on to Sunday Night Football. The other LA team taking on Pittsburgh. LA only favored by 2.5 here. Pittsburgh coming off a huge win against Indianapolis. That was big for a lot of reasons. I mean, Pittsburgh, they were 4-1, looked like they had a division. It was theirs to lose, and then they started to lose it, right? They dropped 2 straight games that they maybe shouldn't have, and, things were looking rough. You have the really good Colts coming to town, and they forced 6 turnovers, get a massive win. Great for Pittsburgh, and they're trying to hold on to that division while the Ravens try to catch up. The Chargers, they've been playing much better football over the last month or so. And the loss of Joel is huge because they've been a little rough without him, at least protecting Herbert, maybe even getting the run game going. But I still trust this Chargers team a little bit here because my biggest concern with the Steelers is they have some wins against weaker opponents, and then they have 2 big wins. Who are those 2 big wins against? Okay, New England and Indy. what happened in those games, 5 turnovers and 6 turnovers. That's awesome, right? That's awesome. You'd love to replicate that, but that's not something that's easily replicated, right? That's not something I can go out there and count on them to do. And if that's the way they're going to have to win these games, and those were both very close games despite that many turnovers, which is crazy. You should be kind of blowing a team out. I just don't trust the Steelers on the road, especially. Give me the Chargers as a lock to win at home. And honestly, now that the line's down at 2.5, it might even be a lock to cover that as well. I think people get too blinded by the final score result in that Steeler game. And it was awesome. The defense played a lot better. Don't get me wrong. They were getting to Daniel Jones. They were getting to him. And, maybe the defense has turned a page here. But I don't like when their 2 biggest wins were still super close games and they were forcing that many turnovers. They're turnover reliant. And they're just not doing enough with them. It's a recipe I can't trust right now, so I'm going against it. And again, a reminder, if you want my full picks, that is on my channel, doing pretty good this year. Then we'll settle into our last one here. I don't know that I officially called this one a lock, maybe more a heavy lean. You could call it either one, but we have Philadelphia visiting Green Bay on Monday Night Football. Now, I'm just going to jump right into it so that I can get to explain it. And my pick here is Green Bay to win. And, a lot of people dislike that. And on my picks video, I had several comments against that. And I love that. I love that, right? When you pick a favorite team to win and the public doesn't like it, I love that because, I think there's a little trap on here because that aside, I like the Packers in this matchup. I mean, Philly, it's recency bias. It's crazy recency bias with people in this league. Green Bay lost to Carolina. Yes, Carolina, they've done better than expected this year. They're 5-3. Green Bay should have won that game, but they're still 5-3. The Eagles have struggled for a lot of this season. The Eagles went on the road and lost to the Giants. I mean, Giants playing better, but the Eagles have not looked perfect. Everyone's acting like, the Packers lost last week to the Panthers, and the Eagles have just been perfect, so they're going to come in there and smash them, which is crazy to me. I think the Packers, this is a great spot for them, a bounce-back week. They tend to play to their competition, whether that's up or down. In this case, it's up. And I just think they're ready for the task. It's going to be about 28 degrees, I think, there in Lambeau Field, a nice November Monday night game. I think the Pack are going to be ready. They got the home crowd rocking. Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little surprised if they don't pull it out. I think it's going to be tight, though. By no means do I think they're going to stretch a lead or anything against a very good Eagles team. I don't trust the Eagles right now either. I don't 100% trust the Packers, which is why I said I was hesitant to even call it a lock. But I really like this spot for the Packers. They also kind of need this one. They're also desperate's not the right word, but you have to remember the Eagles kind of have the division not locked up. That would be crazy to say that, but come on. I mean, Commanders are 3-6. They just lost Jaden Daniels. Giants are too far back. The Cowboys, they're 3-5-1. It would take a lot for them to catch Philly. So Philly's kind of on cruise mode here. The Packers are in a heated race. They have 2 teams only a half game behind them. They lose this game, and the Lions and Bears both favored to take care of business. The Packers drop to 3rd in the division. They need to win this one, and especially coming off a loss, I think they'll be more motivated. So, yeah, give me the Pack there. So, let me know what y'all think about these picks. It should be a fun week. I feel fairly good about the week. Again, go check out my other picks video. Weeks I've said I don't feel good, I've actually done pretty bad. But weeks I feel pretty good about it. I tend to do fairly well. So, I do have a good feeling about this week. We'll see how it goes. Very excited. I am making this before the Thursday Night Football, so hope that goes well. But we'll see how the week goes.